Okay, let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive today into something really significant for gaming history in Puerto Rico. We're talking about the first ever Salón de la Fama del Gaming, the Puerto Rico Gaming Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's a landmark moment. They
Yeah.
just held the inaugural ceremony, specifically to honor the pioneers, people who really left a mark on the island's gaming community, the industry, both locally and actually international too.
And the mission behind it, the why, that seems really important here. It's like you see with sports or music halls of fame, right?
Exactly. It's about preserving, documenting the legacy of people who made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Recognizing achievements, sure, but also the passion, the sheer dedication it took to push gaming forward in Puerto Rico in all its forms.
Okay. And we've got some good material to work with here.
Yeah, we've looked at stuff from the ceremony itself, details about the organization's whole purpose, and importantly, the criteria they used for selecting this first group.
Right. So our goal here for this deep dive is pretty clear then. We want to get a handle on the real significance of this whole initiative. We'll meet the first inductees, this groundbreaking class, understand what they actually did for gaming history and growth there, and kind of reflect on why recognizing these pioneers now is so important for the future of gaming on the island, maybe even beyond.
Definitely. So let's just jump right in. The significance of the SFGPR, the Hall of Fame. This isn't just, putting names on a wall. It's vital because the gaming community there has grown exponentially, exploded, really. And this ensures that the foundational work, the people who built the base for that growth, their contributions aren't forgotten.
It cements their place in the island's cultural history.
Precisely. Documented now.
And it feels like there's a strong sense of community behind it, too, like a shared effort.
Oh, absolutely. The sources mention that a lot of the people involved, they go way back. They've worked together or at least alongside each other for years, all kind of driven by this shared vision of strengthening the community.
So it acknowledges that this scene, this thriving scene, it didn't just magically appear, it was built person by person.
Right. And what's really compelling is how it frames gaming itself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's dismissed, just a pastime, but here it's recognized for what it can be, a tool that connects people, sparks creativity. Honestly, it can transform lives.
That's a powerful idea.
Yeah, and the Hall highlights those who, through their passion, sometimes personal sacrifice, they paved the way for others, so others could join in, dream bigger, find their community.
That idea of transformation and community building, it seems central, which makes you wonder, okay, what does it take to get inducted?
Exactly. Which brings us to the criterion, and this is key. It's not just about being the best player, or even playing for a long time. The focus is squarely on significant, demonstrable, and lasting contributions to the industry and the community.
Lasting contributions. Okay, so what kinds of things were they looking for? Organizers, players.
A real mix. They looked at organizers, people who build events, structures, top competitors who push the boundaries, creators of content, events, even figures whose influence reached beyond Puerto Rico internationally.
And the specific points, what were the benchmarks?
Well, things like history of sustained success, sure, but also innovation, doing something new in the scene or with tech, influence on the gaming culture itself, technical contributions, leadership, global impact.
Wow, okay.
Success in high-level competitions was considered too, naturally, but also mentorship, actively helping others, and that idea of a durable legacy, something that kept making a difference over time.
That durable legacy part, that's really interesting, isn't it?
It is. It suggests they weren't just looking at a peak moment, but at who built something that actually lasted.
Yeah, sets a high bar, focuses on real impact, which I guess sets the stage perfectly for us to meet this first group, the class of 2024.
All right, let's start with ThePacha de Marchena and Juegos. Their contribution was, well, truly pioneering. They set up one of the island's very first formal online gaming communities. And crucially, with dedicated servers.
Dedicated server. Why was that such a big deal back then? Feels standard now, but...
Oh, huge difference. Before that, online play was often flaky, unreliable, especially for organized matches. Juegos gave players a stable place to connect, compete consistently. It fostered a real community around games like Counter-Strike, StarCraft, Brood War.
The classic.
The classics,
And it wasn't just local, right? Their reach went further.
Oh, definitely. They were key in representing Puerto Rico internationally, like at the World Cyber Games in 2003. Think about that, competing globally in PC esports back in the early 2000s. That was massive. Put Puerto Rico on the map in that specific arena.
And their website you mentioned launched in 2001. That sounds like it must have been the central hub.
Totally critical. It connected thousands of players, shared info, helped organize things. Lesser himself said something interesting, like he just started it as a hobby, to play with friends. Never dreamed it would get so big.
Wow.
Yeah. So that journey from a personal project to basically laying the groundwork for today's whole esports scene, that's a powerful story.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's the early online competitive world. Let's shift gears a bit. Fighting games. Our next inductee is David Weissman, known everywhere as Cash.
Ah, Cash.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a true legend in PR's fighting game history. And his story has this almost like mythical start.
Oh, yeah. Tell me.
Get this, 1993. A young David Weissens walks into a Blockbuster, remember those, in San Germain?
Haha, vaguely.
Enters a Street Fighter II tournament, mostly adult playing. And he wins as a kid.
No way.
Yeah, that early win, it wasn't just personal. It immediately marked him as someone special in that, very early competitive scene.
And he clearly didn't stop there, became a central figure, right? Declaring timeout in Mayaguez the spot.
Exactly. Time Abdel Town Center, Mayaguez. He basically made it an epicenter for the community out west. And his dedication. Legendary. Sources talk about him traveling all over the island just to compete, connect with players. Carpooling was a big thing.
That shows real commitment, just for the love of the game and the community.
Totally. Then, around 2001, he starts organizing tournaments himself. And get this, making brackets by hand. On paper.
Wow. That really paints a picture of the grassroots effort needed back then.
Doesn't it? And he kept pushing to formalize things. Founded Tech in Puerto Rico in 2005. That was specifically to get better organization, better communication for that really passionate Tekken community.
And he had some major achievements as an organizer, too.
Yeah, a big one was securing Puerto Rico's first official spot in a Namco national tournament for Soul Calibur. His goal, it seems, was always bigger than just his own wins. It was about uniting players island-wide and helping them get to international stages, helping others succeed. Right, he actually said, seeing others achieve that international success has been one of the most gratifying things for him.
That's fantastic. Okay, so we've got the foundations of online community, competitive fighting games, but the Hall of Fame clearly sees gaming as broader than just playing. The next two honorees are game developers.
Yeah, and including them is so important. It shines a light on the creative, the technical side. And it also reinforces that idea we talked about, collaboration. That whole Puerto Rico is the 100 by 35 vibe. On a small island, everyone pitching in different ways helps the whole ecosystem grow.
Makes sense. So, first developer, Rex Cartagena. Significant impact, it sounds like, both locally and internationally.
Definitely. One really standout thing was his work with the newspaper, Primera Hora, to launch PH Gaming back in 2008. This wasn't just like game reviews. They were publishing new games every couple of weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Wow.
Yeah, it became this vital platform for local indie developers, a place to get their work seen, played. Games like Asteroid Hunter X, Bouncebity came out of that.
And he was also doing something we see all the time now, but was probably cutting edge then, advert games.
Totally pioneering it locally. He created Impacto Apache for Daddy Yankee's concert marketing in 2007.
For Daddy Yankee, okay.
Yeah, integrating local brands, major artists into gaming for advertising. That led to him making games for huge companies like Burger King, Nestle, GameStop, all within that PH Gaming setup.
And his own career path went international, too.
Big time. He's worked at places like Zynga, even collaborated with John Romero, the Doom guy.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. And roles at Konami, CBS Sports, Adobe. It's a serious trajectory. Shows how skills built in early indie dev can lead way up in tech and media. He even told this cool story about his very first 3D game attempt, Virtue Ans, on Windows 3.1, somehow connecting him years later to working with Romero. Funny how things work out.
That's amazing. But despite all that big international success, he said PH Gaming is still his favorite project, and he wants to revive it.
Yeah, he mentioned that. Speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About the value he puts on those local platforms, fostering local talent. It really does. Okay, final inductee for this first class. Jose Real Rodriguez, another key figure in PR game development.
Absolutely. A pillar. He founded one of the island's first dev companies, Port Diversion, way back in 2000.
Port Diversion for fun? I like it. What was his vision?
It was pretty innovative for the time. He wasn't just making any games. He focused on titles that blended entertainment, education, and local culture. His mission, explicitly, was to impact the community and also project Puerto Rican talent onto the world stage.
Using games for education, advertising?
Yeah.
That was forward thinking back then.
It really was. It positioned games as more than just fun, right? As this multifaceted tool. And his standout project, Briscas, from 2006, perfect example. He took a traditional Puerto Rican card game.
Briscas, yeah, I know it.
Right. Reimagined it with these cool, modern animation-inspired visuals and launched it online.
And how did that go?
The results were just staggering, especially for 2006, before the App Store boom. Shortly after launch, it had over 460,000 users in 75 different countries.
460,000.
Yeah.
75 countries
Right.
back then. Yeah. That kind of international reach, it really put his studio on the map globally. Showed the appeal of culturally specific games made in Puerto Rico.
Beyond just the games themselves, he's also recognized for leadership, mentorship.
Definitely. He inspired a whole new generation of developers, entrepreneurs, by proving, hey, you can make a viable business out of game dev in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
That it can be a cultural medium, an art form. He sounded genuinely moved by the recognition, like it was a dream, and thanked the committee for documenting this history, sending a message to today's creators. Your hard work matters. It's seen.
Hearing all these stories, wow. Online communities, FGC legends, groundbreaking developers. There are some really clear common threads, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely. Passion is huge. Dedication, perseverance, often with limited resources or facing skepticism. A deep, deep focus on building community and wanting to inspire the next wave.
Yeah, they weren't just in it for themselves. They were lifting the whole scene.
Exactly.
And this first class is not the end, right? They announced the 2025 season.
Right. It signals this is an ongoing project, which is great. And importantly, they mentioned public nominations for the next class will open soon.
So the community gets involved directly.
Yeah, inviting people to nominate future honorees across maybe even wider categories. Players, devs, sure, but maybe journalists, educators, other contributors too. It's community-driven.
Well, this deep dive into the first Salón de la Fama del Gaming in Puerto Rico, it really hammers home how important it is to document and celebrate this stuff, this rich, diverse history.
For sure. We've seen how people built everything from the basic online infrastructure and competitive scenes, all the way to creating original games that hit a global audience, infused with local culture. So it was a really powerful story of growth through passion and just plain hard work.
So if you're listening and you're involved in gaming, maybe you're a dev starting out, a player grinding, an organizer planning, even just a huge fan. The stories of these pioneers, they're incredibly inspiring. Keep going for those dreams. Keep creating, competing, collaborating. Their journeys really show the amazing impact that collective effort can have.
Absolutely. And, that leaves us with maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. How is the legacy of gaming being built in your community, wherever you happen to be? And what steps could be taken, maybe by you, maybe by others around you, to make sure those contributions, the big ones and the small ones, get recognized, get documented, and maybe used to inspire the next generation coming up?